So let's talk about Belly's feelings. Her feelings are very much still real, but she's pretending they aren't there. When we have been heartbroken, especially by your first love, and that person wants a second chance, and you're so determined not to mess things up again because you already made a mess of it with somebody else too, being involved with, as such as Jeremiah being involved in this triangle, so to speak. Belly's putting all her feelings for Conrad in a box. She refuses to let herself get like she was, which was a shell of a person. She was crying. She just wasn't. She was absent mentally and physically and emotionally. So for her, her feelings are very much real, but they're just, she's projecting feelings for Jeremiah to pretend like her feelings for Conrad don't exist. It kind of goes with what Taylor was saying in episode 1 of season 2, where she says you have to get under, my grandmother always says, you get under one person to get over the other. That whole situation is very much feelings for Belly. She is literally using Jeremiah to get over Conrad, but in reality, she'll never be over Conrad. And I like to always use the term that she puts it in a box and she locks that box up. But eventually, when they see each other after a long period of time, those feelings are going to combust. And we see that actually play out in the book when she comes back to Cousins for the garden ceremony for dedication for Susanna. The first time she sees Conrad there, her breath catches. Those feelings start becoming real. After that, she starts dreaming about him again. She starts having these moments of wanting to be with him in her mind, and what if, and all the crazy stuff that one would do after seeing somebody for a long period, not seeing them for a long period of time. And so she's just a typical teenager trying to suppress feelings by getting over that person with someone else, and it just so happens to be his brother. And I'm not advocating that that's not right or wrong, but this happened because Susanna kind of made it that way. And I've said this before, this all stems from Susanna. Susanna has instilled in these kids' heads that Belly would end up with one of the boys. So in Belly's mind, there's no right or wrong way. Like, that is it. That she has to be with one of the two of them, and that's it. And I don't think it's fair to really judge her for that, because that's what Susanna pushed her to do. So therefore, that's the only thing she knows how to do. Now, for the boys, it's a little bit different, because with Conrad, he has real feelings for Belly. He is in love with Belly. He always will be. He has been for as long as he can remember. He just suppressed it because she was younger, which happens a lot of time with the age gap, with like a 2-year age gap. But Jeremiah has always been in competition with his brother. He loves Belly as a sibling and as a best friend, but unfortunately there will never be real feelings there because of that. Jeremiah unfortunately sees everything as a competition because his brother was always idolized by their father, and Jeremiah was always not on that pedestal. And it makes sense. Just like Conrad was parentified his entire life to take care of everybody else, whereas Jeremiah wasn't. So I think her feelings are very valid. She's kind of just suppressing everything, and one day it will explode and it will bubble over, and that's when we will see what goes down in season 3 as far as the wedding not happening and etc.
All right, I totally understand. When something's new, it's difficult to explain things and share pages like in a book club over TikTok. So I'll do the best that I can to draw examples from the book like you are wanting to. And I'll show you in book 2, page 168, the golden child dynamic is laid out for you by Jeremiah himself. So this isn't even something that I'm just like making up. This is what Jeremiah is describing, okay? Here's what he says. My whole life, I've looked up to Conrad. He's always been smarter, faster, just better. Right, he's already describing that Conrad was on a pedestal for every member of the family. And he introduces this chapter by saying Conrad was on a pedestal for him, Jeremiah as well, until one fateful experience. Let's read on. There was a time when I was 13. We were wrestling. My dad was always trying to get us to wrestle. He had been on the wrestling team in college and liked teaching us new techniques. Lock him in, Con, my dad was saying. We were really getting into it. We knocked over one of Mom's silver candlesticks. Conrad was breathing hard. He'd expected to beat me easily, but I was getting good. I wasn't giving up. When I had him pinned, my dad said, Connie, I told you to keep your knees bent. I looked up at my dad, and I saw the look on his face. He had that look he got sometimes when Conrad wasn't doing something right, all tight around the eyes and irritated. He never, I repeat, he never looked at me like that. That's because Jeremiah was not Adam Fisher's golden child. Conrad was, and that's why, disgustingly, this narcissist of a father is rooting for Conrad to beat Jeremiah in a fight. It's awful. Let's read on. Adam didn't say, good job, Jer. He just started criticizing Conrad, telling him all the things he could have done better. And Conrad took it. He was nodding, his face red, sweat pouring down his forehead. Then he nodded at me and said, in a way I knew he really meant it, good job, Jer. So this is the clearest example that is written down for us from Jeremiah's point of view. Conrad was clearly the golden child, and Jeremiah was the lost child, meaning he was overlooked, underestimated by everyone, honestly, including by Conrad. However, in this moment, we get a really endearing moment where Conrad demonstrates how he's able to break the cycle. He's not a narcissist like his father, Adam, is. In that moment, he sees Jer and celebrates him. And that's the difference between Jeremiah and Conrad, where Jeremiah eventually grows to resent Conrad and need to undermine him to be better than him. The thing about this whole conversation is Conrad is here because he's trying to gauge if Belly has feelings for him. Because like we saw in so many of the flashbacks, but particularly the one with Junior Mint, he's insecure and thinks that she doesn't like him. She's insecure and thinks that he doesn't like her. But he's making an effort. So when he says, gosh, you just memorized everything I've ever said, and he's matching the sass that she was giving him, it was delivered poorly and it was received poorly, unfortunately. He came off like such a jerk, and Belly was embarrassed and really, really scared. She lashes out because what else really was she supposed to say? But she tells him to get over himself. And this is actually a lot deeper than you think it is, because she's telling him to get over himself, but he's like reading that as though she's saying she's over him. She's over his BS. His demeanor immediately changes. Like, he looks both confused as well as like, oh, what did I do wrong? Everything about his body language and his tone shifts here, and instead of the like flirty, smirky smile, he actually gets really serious. Belly keeps talking and brings up the point about being an athlete, which, again, Taylor's also an athlete, and Belly has no issue with her smoking either. Belly keeps talking and brings up the point about being an athlete, which, again, Taylor's also an athlete and also is smoking days before she goes to her volleyball camp. So this really isn't an issue with Conrad. The issue here is Belly's still kind of immature, and she holds Conrad to this high, heavenly, imperfect standard. And I want to talk about how this is so reminiscent of the Philadelphia story in another TikTok. I'll get to that in a second. Part of what Belly is saying to Conrad is actually really endearing, because what she's saying to him isn't just, oh, well, I think you can't smoke. Other people can smoke, but you can't. What she's also actually saying to him is, hey, I love you and I know you better than anybody else, and this isn't you. Why are you doing this? And that's something we'll later see Conrad also give back to her. She says, well, I still think you should quit. And Conrad has this goofy little flirty grin on his face because, as we've seen throughout the whole conversation up to this point, he's trying to flirt with Belly. He's trying to get an in with her and see if she likes him. So he shoots his shot and he outright says, what will you give me if I do? He's basically coaxing her, asking her to like kiss him. And it's Belly who breaks